Joining us now is assistant coach Nate Tibbiets. Nate, appreciate the time on an off night, stepping in to join us.
You bet. I get some nights off, but it sounds like you guys don't get many, so I'll take it.
We don't, but we're not complaining, but yes, you're right.
We were doing game prep for this program at noon today.
Right, correct. Coach, we were talking in the first segment. We were just going through all of the various scenarios, looking at the standings, and I know, I never asked Terry this stuff in the pregame interviews because he always likes to stay focused on the game at hand, and we know that, and that's what you guys have to keep the players' heads. But I know you guys together must sit around and talk about this. This is crazy. Do you let yourself do that, or do you really try to stay locked into the moment? I mean, you can control it to a degree, the future, but so much of this stuff is out of your hands.
Yeah, I think, some people handle it differently. I try not to look at the standings myself because I get confused, and I just not so much confused, but just the fact that that you absolutely have to keep winning games to move up. The West is so crazy, and it's been that way all year. My big thing personally is just control what you can control. I like watching the games and seeing teams that I know that we're battling lose. But as far as looking at the standings and knowing who plays who more, my wife probably knows a lot more of that stuff than I do. I just try to focus on the next game, like you said.
Well, focusing on the last game, probably the first and third quarters of that game, they were as good as the Blazers played all year, scoring 68 points. But if you look at the second and the fourth quarter, the Blazers were outscored 48-41. Do you look at, how can we improve on the second and the fourth quarter when the subs come in a little bit? How do you look at a game when you're deciding what was good and what was bad?
Yeah, I think the quarter you probably look at is the second quarter. The fourth quarter is kind of human nature, and we're up 30 points, and you kind of throw that one out the window. But I think our second unit is playing better. You guys know we were up, and then we brought our starters back, and Phoenix went small, and they went on a 12-2 run to finish. So I can't really say that we can put that on our. I feel like the last, week or 2 weeks, our second unit is starting to find a rhythm. Kamen is becoming more productive with that group. I think he's a little bit more fresh. Darrell Wright has played well, and Steve Blake is kind of the catalyst. So, I felt like we had that game in hand last night, and they went small and had some success with it. And give Coach Stotts a lot of credit. At halftime, some coaches would have went in and been, really disappointed and real fiery, but he just said, hey, we've had this game in hand. We were up 16. We miss a layup. They go down and score a couple layups, and it's down to 6. Let's just get back to doing what we're doing. And, we came out and started the third quarter real well. They tried to go small again, and we just continued to play our game. So, I think from start to finish, we did have a pretty good game, and I don't think we overanalyzed the second, fourth quarter at all.
Nate, you mentioned Coach Stotts, and we talked about this before, and there's times during a game where a timeout will be taken, and Coach will look really frustrated, and it'll be a time when everybody's angry, and then we'll take a peek in the huddle if we're close enough, and he isn't like throwing clipboards and breaking things over his head. He's got, and is that why his players respect him the way they do? And of course, he's always really careful in post-game press conferences. He never throws his guys under the bus. And I think he has a real good a way of putting his finger on the pulse of the team and knowing what to do when. And like you said at halftime last night, we joked around, I think even on the broadcast, that after we saw him come out that way in the third quarter, holy cow, must have been fire and brimstone in the locker room at halftime. Doesn't seem like he's really that type of guy.
No, he's not. And, I personally, as a player, you would love to play for a guy like Coach Stotts. He really allows those guys to play through mistakes. Some coaches are super detailed and overreact about certain things. And, he's got his things that he believes in, but he tries to empower the players. And one thing you talked about is, press conferences. He never uses guys by name, never throws players under the bus. And I think that eases players' minds that they can just go out and play through mistakes, and gives them confidence.
You're looking at the Warriors tonight, for instance. They're going to rest a couple of guys. Can anybody else, now they have a record that they probably could rest a few guys for a few games. It doesn't matter to them. But can anybody else in the West think about resting anybody? Do you think about seeding, getting the home court advantage, rather than getting ready for the playoffs with rested players? What comes into your mind?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's there's a certain balance there. 4 years ago or 3 years ago, no one really talked about rest. Everyone was talking probably about trying to get the highest seed that they can. Now, San Antonio started it with the rest, and they do it probably more throughout the course of the year, but you're seeing other coaches and other organizations deciding to rest their players. I think every situation is different. I think Coach Stotts said it early in the year, the one team we're going to worry about is us. And, if we decide to rest guys, it's going to be a conversation, obviously, between Coach Stotts and Neil and what they feel is right for our team moving forward. And, I know that our guys, have been rejuvenated a little bit here with our winning streak, and are really looking forward to playing the Clippers here tomorrow night.
We were talking about, and you talked about a minute ago, the second unit, first unit. The Wesley Matthews injury, you make the trade and Aflalo comes in and it looks like he's going to be great with the second unit, and then Wesley goes down and it changes everything. CJ goes out of the lineup when the Aflalo trade is made, basically, before Wesley got hurt. And then once then Aaron's got to totally rethink the way he does things, and now he comes into a starting group that has such great chemistry, and it almost looks like he doesn't want to step on toes for a while, and is reluctant at times to look for his own shot because he knows how tight the chemistry is, and he's kind of the new guy. And then CJ is thrown back into a role where he is dependent on off the bench to give scoring, to give production. I think both of those guys are maybe the main reasons why the last few games have gone the way they have, and good shooting percentage, good wins at Utah and Phoenix, places that traditionally have not been kind to this team. And then last night, taking care of business so soundly like they did. Do you agree with that? Those two guys are all of a sudden now comfortable in their roles and are starting to flourish.
Yeah, I mean, I'm really excited for both those guys. Aaron is a guy that started his whole career, was willing to come here and come off the bench for the greater good of our team, to make a championship push. And then all of a sudden, a huge disappointment to all of us. Wesley goes down, and we're kind of looking at each other kind of in a blur for a week or so and trying to figure it out. And now he gets pushed into the starting lineup, and where do I get my shots? And obviously with that starting unit, a lot of our stuff goes through LaMarcus, number one, and then Dame. And then, he's trying to figure out where do I get my shots. But he stayed patient, and he's continued to work and watch film and focus on the defense at first. And now he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable. He's starting to get some passes from LaMarcus and get some passes from Dame and Nico on the extra swing pass. So, I'm happy for him that he's starting to feel good about himself, because he's going to be a really big player for us down the stretch. And then CJ, you mentioned it. He was playing well before the trade, make a trade for a veteran in Aaron. And I think he understood what we were trying to do, and he stayed ready. Give him credit. He's continued to work all year. It always hasn't just been given to him, and he's starting to play a little bit better here.
Now, the state of the defense, it looks like Lillard really has started to try to work a little harder. Not that he hasn't, but getting over picks, because we did a pregame show on the point guards of the 8 teams. in the West, and the reason the teams are in the West are winning and being playoff teams is their point guard. Every team had a point guard that could really dominate if they wanted to. So where does the defense stand, and how does Lillard, because it looked like he's really trying to fight over picks much better than he used to.
Yeah, I think it's just confidence, him learning the league, him knowing our system. You know, we're almost completing 2 years of what we're trying to do at the defensive end. You know, when you don't have confidence in the system or not really sure what's going to happen behind you, sometimes you guess and might try to take another way than instead of the right way. I think, you know, maybe he's getting his legs back under him. You know, he's traveled more miles, I think, than anyone in the league, and he's guarding the best players in the world out there, you know, at the quickest position. You know, obviously the hardest thing to guard is pick and rolls. That's why everybody runs it. So it's just him building confidence. I think our bigs are doing a better job of communicating the screens, and he just kind of, you know, knowing where he can go over the top or go underneath. And that's just part of learning the league. You know, sometimes with Dame, we forget this is only his third year, and, you know, everything's happened for him so quick, but it takes time, you know, and he's getting more comfortable at that end.
Coach, appreciate it. Thank you on our night off to spend some time with us here, and I know get back to your game prep, maybe take a few minutes to relax tonight too, get a little rest. I know everybody's kind of worn out this time of year, but plenty of ball to be played. Congratulations on the playoff berth, but I know you have bigger things in mind.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Coach Nate Tibbiets, our guest here on Trailblazers Courtside.